who taught the girls' physical education and was the girls' basketball coach at this particular time. See my little fella in the picture there, little Jimmy, who was quite a runner for his size at that time. These children look to be running awful fast, but that's due to the silent film that we had to transpose into our videotape. You'll notice here that the boys can circle the bases in about 2 seconds' time. It was necessary for the physical education teacher at that time to double as the principal of the building. So therefore, you'll see the principal of the building out here, best dressed gym teacher in the country. This is the picture of the Brentwood swimming pool as it existed in 1938. Brentwood swimming pool was opened in 1928. And of course, there have been many fine improvements since that time. The playing field of the Brentwood Park and also the playgrounds in both the elementary buildings were improved greatly by the WPA that had a part in this later on. Here we see the students coming out of the Brentwood High School, coming out of the entrance facing the Brentwood Park. Mr. Harry Suttner, who many will remember, Mr. Dave Bickerton, this is a picture of the Brentwood cafeteria. Mrs. Charlotte Kroll was in charge of the cafeteria at that time. Miss Lillian Lewis, Mr. Samuel McDonald eating there with Mr. J.D. Boydston, the superintendent. Bag lunches were in vogue for a number of the pupils, as you can see here. Johnny Winters, who a lot of us will remember. We go to a group of the children at the Moore School who were enjoying a recess period in the front lawn. Mr. Charles Pierce was the principal of the Moore School at that time. He also doubled in as the physical education instructor. This is a picture of some of the free play activity at Moore School, probably during the lunch hour. You recognize the homes on Elton Avenue. Here's the playground as it was before it was enlarged and improved. Mr. Pierce, who had some active part in taking this film in 1938. Our apologies for some technical difficulties in the film right now. Here we will get a view of the students leaving the Brentwood High School via the entrance facing Brentwood Park. This was the main entrance at that time. The side entrance here is used for some small groups, which faces Brownsville Road and is still is in existence. You can see there where the new building would be constructed. Notice the dress of the pupils at that particular time. The nice dresses the girls wore, the shirts and ties that we find on many of the boys. Here we find a circus parade, which was the culmination of the year's program on dental hygiene. About 98% of the pupils had achieved 100% perfect teeth at this particular time and were allowed to participate in the parade. The parade, of course, took place on Brownsville Road and culminated at the Brentwood Park, where a program was held each year, and treats were furnished to the pupils. Here we see animals that were constructed by the junior high school to use in the parade. The Brentwood citizens cooperated in this event each year. We see here a hardware truck helping out, the Brentwood bus hauling the cafeteria kitchen workers at that time. Floats were made by the pupils and were awarded. The young man hanging on the side of this car is Eddie Beckus, who was one of our good basketball players at that time. The animals you see in the picture were constructed by the junior high school and used in the parades not only in Brentwood but were borrowed by other school districts. Here we see a prize winner from the Elroy grade 8, and I still can produce the silver cup that was given to the boys and girls at that time. This boy is Carl Schultz coming in the picture. That is Johnny Winters inside the giraffe. Students had a great time at these parades. The Brentwood High School band cooperated on these occasions. We see a nice picture of the Brentwood High School band here, parading with the elementary school students. This is the breakup of the parade out near the Moore School. You can see it's a real breakup in this picture. This is Alvin Myers, who many people know, Elmer Etzel. Girl Scouts were a part of the program in both the Moore and Elroy School after-school activities. We see the Girl Scouts here at the Moore School raising the flag in an afternoon meeting. Here we see Miss Anna Pistorius, who was a longtime teacher in the Brentwood schools. She taught both at the Elroy School and in the Brentwood High School. In those days we had prayer each morning as part of the morning exercise, and a salute to the flag as well. Repeating a pledge of allegiance to the flag. Cora Mae Young pictured there in the front. Children were given experience with operating meetings at that time. They had homeroom meetings, and officers were elected and took charge of these meetings. We see in the front picture there one of the Backus boys. That girl is Jean Sutter with the long curls. Pupils studied current events in the elementary schools in those days. Here we see Roland Ackelson in charge of this meeting. The little girl is one of the Fitzpatrick girls there. The teacher is Miss Margaret Stewart. Here are some of the activities that were taking part in the classrooms of both schools. Assemblies were held in both the elementary schools on occasion. The violinist here I can identify as Elroy Hubbard, one of the only boys in the school to be able to handle a violin. Here we see them acting out a play, I believe, at Moore School. It was quite popular with the audience that you can see in this next picture. Notice the happy faces and the clean faces and the very nice clothing that the children wore in those days.